What's up, everyone? This is Adrian with Door.78, and this 30-minute tutorial is of a beautiful bonsai tree with the leaves falling. Now, I've titled this painting, I'm Losing It, so you could interpret that any way you want to. But this bonsai tree is the rock star of this painting. So, everyone, get your drink, get your supplies, get a snack, and let's get started. Now, as usual, the actual supplies will be down in the description at the bottom there. But we're going to start off with our canvas here, and our canvas is in portrait mode. And what we're going to do is divide our canvas in half. So get your pencil and just divide it in half. Draw that line to separate the top from the bottom. And of course, we're not breaking out rulers. We're just going to use that hand-eye coordination. Now, for the colors that we're using, I got different shades of gray. So we got a light gray, a darker gray. Then we have white, black. And then, of course, we got that beautiful light blue color that we're going to use for our bonsai tree. So the first thing you want to do is to grab your large flat brush. Now, that will be your 1-inch flat brush. You're going to dip it in the water, get the excess water off, and then load it up in the darker color gray that you mixed up. And I like to mix my colors, so when you're mixing your grays, you want to start off with your white and then just add a little drop of black until you get the gray color that you like. That black will take over very quickly, so always just start off with the white and then add little drops of black until you're done mixing to the color that you like or the consistency that you like. So I'm just taking that paintbrush and I'm coloring everything on the top half of that canvas with the brush. No particular brush strokes. You just want to make sure you get total coverage up there on that top half. And that's going to be very important as we're going out throughout the painting. So what I've done here is I grabbed some white on that brush, and I didn't clean the brush off, so we still have that gray, but I'm going in with the white paint, and right up under where I left off with the gray paint on the top half, we're going to start using that white with the mix of the gray going all the way down to the bottom of the canvas. And so as you notice, what's happening is the color gray is getting lighter as it's getting to the bottom. And since both of these colors are still wet, since the canvas is still wet, then this is what we call wet on wet blending. And that horizon line right there is just disappeared with the brush strokes that you have going there. And it's important that when you're doing the brush strokes on the bottom, that you do go from left to right. That way you get that nice blend that you see there. At this point, I decided to put a little bit of the darker gray on that brush. Again, not cleaning the brush off, just going right into that darker gray. And putting some of that darker gray at the top. Started off at the corners first. And then we're just going to blend that darker gray in to the lighter gray. So it'll be a nice transition. So we're going to go from a darker gray at the top, which will be the very top of the sky, the atmosphere. And then as we start to progress further down the canvas, we're going to get lighter and lighter. After you've done that, go ahead and clean that brush really well. Dry it out. Put it to the side. We'll come back to that one later. Now I'm going to pick up my small flat brush. And this is a number 4 flat brush. So go ahead and grab that brush. And we're going to load that number 4 flat brush with the darker color gray. The first gray that we use, we're going to take that brush and we're going to draw out somewhat of a horizon line there. So just take it and we're going to do it right up under where we saw the the dark gray transition into the light gray into the white. And what that's going to do, that's going to give us the line for where we're going to put in our trees. So actually, that's more like a shoreline than a horizon line. So that's what we did there. And now we're going to take that same brush, our small flat brush, and we're going to start to make our trees. Yeah, this is the fun part. So we'll take our brush, we'll turn it sideways and make a straight line going up as tall as we want the trees to be. And then starting at the very top of that line, we want to turn our brush sideways, and we just want to tap going zigzag, side to side, starting off narrow at the top and getting wider as we get to the bottom. And that's it. We're just tapping in a zigzag motion, as you see that I'm doing there. Start off narrow at the top and just tap, zigzag, get wider as you get towards the bottom. Now these trees are very light, and that's on purpose because these trees are going to be the ones that's in the background. So we're not going to see those very much. Because remember, our bonsai tree now, that's our rock star. That's the tree that's just taking over the entire show. That's who everyone's coming to see. No one's coming to see these trees in the background. We're coming to see this bonsai tree. So just go ahead and put those trees back there. It gives a very nice effect, though. Even though they're very light, we can't see them. It gives the painting dimensions. It gives it depth. And so what you'll see is, as we start to layer on top of this with darker colors, it's going to push those trees into the background. So now that we've got those set of trees in, those are the lighter colored trees, now we want to go in with a darker color gray on that brush. So we're still using that same brush, we're still making trees, but we loaded that brush up with a darker color paint, with a darker gray. And as you can see, that dark gray, especially on this tree that we just made here, that dark gray is pushing the light gray trees further back into the background. And that's the effect we want. That's the illusion that we're getting. So just go ahead and make those trees. You know how to make those trees now. Just remember, zigzag. Start at the top, narrow, and zigzag, get wider as you get towards the bottom of the tree, back and forth, left to right, just zigzag to your heart's content. So at this time, you might, want to stop the video and catch up to these steps, or maybe you want to stop and get yourself a little sip or drink or something. Go ahead, feel free to do that, and then come back to the painting. And I'm going to take this time, too, to say, please, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your families and friends. Because painting is really enjoyable, it's really relaxing. And who can't enjoy something very relaxing, especially nowadays? So much going on in the world. Let's just free our minds, get our chill pill on, as they used to say back in the 90s, chill pill. But let's just relax. So, share that video with your friends and your families, and let them be able to enjoy the fun and relaxation of painting. All right. So we're getting those trees in there nice and I wouldn't say straight, because nothing in nature is totally perfectly straight. So just go ahead and tap those trees in there. Remember, this is your painting. That's your forest back there. Go ahead and put as many trees as you want, the least amount of trees that you want, and just go for what you know. All right. Very nice. Okay. Now, I think that's enough trees for me. And once you put as many trees as you like, go ahead and take that brush and you want to just start to blend those colors at the bottom. So you've been tapping and getting wider as you get to the bottom. So we just want to blend that in, because what the effect we're going for now is we want it to be pretty misty. So we want it to be where there's some type of a body of water, maybe a river, maybe a stream. We don't know. It's your painting. It's up to you. It was a river in my painting. And what we're going to do is just make it look like it's a really foggy scene. And so the way we do that is we just constantly brushing with a soft stroke side to side, just blending those colors together. And you'll see I'm picking up some white and I'm adding white to it. And I'm just blending those colors very softly together. And again, that's what we call wet on wet blending. All right. So we'll just keep blending, trying to blend those colors all together. And to really make this effect come alive, go ahead and grab your large flat brush, load that up with white paint, and then just go right up under that. The paint is still wet. Just go right up under that with a soft brush touch and just brush back and forth, just very softly with that brush. And look at that mist. That mist is just coming up off of that water. And when I say a light brush stroke, I mean light brush stroke. You want that paintbrush tiptoeing across the canvas. Tiptoeing. I mean, like you're trying not to wake up the baby. Just tiptoe that brush across the canvas. So after you got that foggy look going, go ahead and get your large flat brush, clean that, dry it. You want to also get your small flat brush. You want to clean that. You want to dry it, because we're going to come back to those brushes in a second. So what I just showed you was a small, well, not even a small, but we'll just say a 1-inch round sponge brush. I don't think it's really called a sponge brush, but it got a handle on it and it's a sponge on it. So we'll just say a sponge brush. But it's a 1-inch round sponge. And what we're going to do is take that sponge. We're going to dip it in the white paint. Then we're going to dip it in the gray paint as well. So we're loading it up with white and gray. And now figure out where you want your moon to go in your sky. And just push that sponge up against the sky. So now you see you got your circle there. Now the way that you make that moon bigger, if you want to make it bigger, is go ahead and just twist that sponge around. Just like I'm doing there. Just very carefully twist it around. And now those colors is blending together, and look at that moon. Now, of course, I wasn't satisfied with the size of my moon, so I wanted to make it a tad bit bigger, so I just kept twisting. And that's what you do. If you want your moon to get bigger, just keep on twisting. Keep on twisting until you get the exact size that you want your moon to be in the sky. Again, this is your moon. This is your forest. Go for what you know. But I think that's about right for me. That moon is about right for me right there. Now what I'm doing is just putting some craters in the moon. So I just took my large flat brush and I dipped it in some of the gray color. And just the very tips of the bristles in the gray color. And then I'm just tapping that around inside of my circle there that I made. And then I'll go back with the sponge brush and just kind of flatten the paint out. And that kind of gives it that more realistic cratery moon feeling, that you get. So after you've done that, go ahead, clean your large brush out again, dry it, put it to the side because we're going to come back to that later. And go ahead and put your sponge, dip it in some water. You want to leave it in the water until you're able to clean it and dry it out. Now, I know I always tell you don't leave your brushes in water too long because it could damage them. But it's okay to leave your sponge in the water because It's just a sponge. It's going to soak up the water. You could go back to it after you're done, clean it out, you dry it out, and it's a sponge. It's going to come back to what it's supposed to do. So, yeah, go ahead, just leave that sponge in the water until you get ready to clean it. So now let's go back to our small flat brush. And now what we're going to do is put in our rocks or whatever that landmass is. You're just going to go ahead and put that in. So just go ahead and outline the shape that you want. And this is at the bottom of your canvas. So that's what you see me doing there. And that's with black paint. Full on black paint. It's not diluted. I didn't mix it with any other color. Just black paint. And you just want to go ahead and outline that landmass. Now you could have definitely went straight across the bottom, but for this painting I thought it'd give it some character to kind of start it up near where the trees are at and then dip it down to the bottom and then come back up. I just thought it gave it a little more character, just made it look a little different. So you could definitely do that, or you could just keep it simple and go across the bottom. It's totally up to you. And so now I got that outline. In a few more steps, we're going to go ahead and fill in everything up under that line with black. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and start working on our tree. Now with bonsai trees, the roots of the tree are exposed most of the time. So that's what I'm doing here. And I know it's a bit exaggerated, but that's the point of this painting. I wanted those roots to be exaggerated. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking my small flat brush and I'm just making squiggly lines come up from that line that I created for the land mass. So there's no particular way to do it. Just make some squiggly lines coming up and, towards each other. And then I started to make the bark of the tree there. And we know that bonsai trees, they're really curvy and bendy. Bendy, is that even a word? I don't know. Is bendy a word? But you all know what I mean. It's kind of curvy and it's not a straight tree. So at this point, you just want to make the shape however you want to make it. I had mine with a very dramatic curve at the bottom. You could definitely do that as well. And as I'm going up, I'm going ahead and I'm making these branches go all which way. And this is the part where you just kind of got to feel it yourself. And as I'm making the branches, I'm not just making straight lines. I'm making wavy lines. As you can see, those are wavy lines. And that actually makes it look more realistic because remember, those bonsai trees, their branches, the trunk of the tree, they're very wavy. They're very bendy. So just go ahead and make wavy lines coming off of each one of the little branches. Take that tree and those branches as high as you want them. Make as many branches as you like. It's totally up to you. Again, this is your tree. Right? So again, everyone, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your family and friends. They will really enjoy it. And I know you guys are enjoying and having a good time right now. I know it. So just keep on with the tree there. And again, at any time that you feel like you need to stop to catch up to the painting, go ahead and stop it, pause it, catch up to it. I know I'm moving pretty fast, but as I promised, 30-minute tutorial, and that's it. Just 30 minutes of fun and relaxation. Right. So now that I've done the branches of my tree, I decided that I was going to give the tree just a tad bit, a few highlights, nothing major. And so I just went on ahead and grabbed some of that gray paint, and I'm just dabbing little spots of gray along the left side of of the the bark of the tree. And I did it along the left side of the bark of the tree because that's where the moon is. And so it makes sense to have highlights where the light source is coming from. And so that's why I had put it there on the left side. So now what I'm doing is grabbing my large flat brush, loading it up with black paint. And as I promised you earlier, I'm filling in all of that, everything up under that line that I created for the landmass. I'm just filling everything up under there with black paint. So just fill everything in with black paint. Make it nice and dark. You may have to load up a few times, but you want to make sure that it's very dark. And that adds to the drama of this painting. And as you can already tell, we're not even done filling in everything, but you can really tell how that black, dark paint has pushed those other trees all the way in the back. You almost don't even see the first layer of trees that we made. And then it just makes the water look so misty back there. And that's the illusion that we want. And that's why we layered it just the way that we did. So let's go ahead and fill all of that in. Very nice, dark, black area there. And this is going to make it's going to make it very nice, especially when we start to put our leaves in there. So it's going to make everything just pop. Everything come to life. So remember, our bonsai tree is the rock star of this painting. So let's get to that. Your large flat brush, go ahead and clean it, dry it, put it away. Because it's done for the night. It's done its job. Thank you, large flat brush. Now you could go home. I don't know. I'm just being a little silly today. I don't know. I just feel like that. So take your stencil brush. Now this stencil brush, you can use whatever size you like. I'm using a small stencil brush. I think this one is a 1/2 inch stencil brush. I'm not sure. But it will be down in the description so that you can make sure if you're using exactly what I'm using, you could do that. But any stencil brush you have will be fine. And I took that stencil brush and I dipped it in that light blue paint. And now I'm just tapping, just taking that stencil brush and tapping that color on those branches. Now, anyone that knows about bonsai trees or have seen one knows that the bonsai tree has foliage towards the edge of the branches or the top of the branches, but you can still see a lot of the branches. So as you're filling in your tree, if this is a bonsai tree that you're putting in, just remember that. But if it's not a bonsai tree, maybe it's a jacaranda tree, maybe it's a oak tree, whatever tree you want it to be, go ahead and put those leaves in there wherever you feel like you want them to go. The only thing I ask is just try not to make them look so uniform. I kind of wish at this moment when we're doing trees that everyone could just close their eyes and just start dabbing and tapping. But we don't want that disaster to happen. So yeah, just keep your eyes open. But just try not to put everything in a straight, uniform line. We want it to look more natural. All right? So just keep dabbing. Just dab those leaves in there. And this is our base coat. So we're going to go with 2 more colors there. So we're starting off with the light blue. And now I'm going to dip my stencil brush in the white paint. And I'm not going to clean the brush. I'm just going to go right into the white paint. Because what this is going to do is give it some highlights in some areas. It's going to be brighter in some areas and and darker in the other areas, and that's what we want. We really want to represent that moon is hitting the tree. Well, the moonlight, not the moon, but the moonlight is hitting that tree in different areas. So we're going to lighten it up a bit. And you'll notice that those colors are kind of mixing together, and that's great. You'll have some areas that's super bright, and then you'll have some that's just light bright, I guess. Well, I'm coming up with these words today. I don't know. I'm gonna have to come up with my own dictionary. So what I did here is I grabbed some of the black paint, or not the black paint, but the dark gray paint. And what I'm doing now is I'm just going ahead and dabbing just little areas of dark gray mixed in with that blue and that white. And what I was really being conscious of doing is making it darker towards the bottom of the foliage or towards the bottom of the leaves, and making it brighter towards the top of the leaves, or the leaves that would be closer to the moonlight. So that's what I was doing there. And that's really not a necessary option, but that's something that I do. So if you want to leave that part out, by all means, but that's just something I do. And I want to say this again too. This is your tree. So if you don't want a blue bonsai tree, if you want a green one, if you want a red one, a yellow one, it's totally up to you. Whatever color tree you want it to be, go ahead and just go for what you know. Be as creative as you want to be. I'm just teaching techniques. I want you all to be very creative. Now, if you're done with your leaves and your tree, it looks good to you, go ahead and clean that brush, dry it, and put that brush away because it's done for the night. Thank you, stencil brush. Appreciate your help. So grab your small flat brush again, and now what you do is you load it up with that blue, that light blue color, whatever color you made your tree. And you just take it and look at what I'm doing. I'm just tapping that brush on the canvas. And I'm not tapping it in any particular order. Wherever, my eye looks at first, I just tap it. Just tap that color on there. And then I flip the brush over, put some blue paint on the tip of the brush, and did the same thing. Just tap the tip of that brush. Wherever my eye landed first, I would just tap that brush. Trying to make sure I don't put anything looking like it's uniform. Just going ahead and just tapping away. And that's what I want you all to do. And again, that's with our small flat brush. You start off with the brush in first and just tap it, making those larger leaves fall. And then you could turn it over and dip the tip of the brush in the paint, and then go ahead and tap in some smaller leaves with some dots there. What I'm doing now is I saw parts of my leaves that were a little transparent, meaning that you could see through it. And I didn't want to have see-through leaves, so I just went ahead and tapped more of the color on it to make it more opaque, or make it more solid where you can't see through it. And that's just something that I was doing again. You don't have to do that, but when I was doing the painting, I definitely didn't want my leaves to be transparent. So that's about it. You got your bonsai tree there. That's the rock star. He's standing out there, big and tall, but he's losing some of his leaves. That's why I named this painting "I'm Losing It." So again, interpret it however you like, but that's our painting there. That's it. Looks pretty good to me. Yeah. So I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for coming back to our channel. And again, please like, share, subscribe, And once again, thank you all. This is Adrian with Dora.78, and see you next time. Bye, everyone.